Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you today how to fill out a form called I-130. I-130 is being used by a U.S. citizen or a U.S. green card holder to apply for certain relatives. Who are those certain relatives? The U.S. citizen can apply for his or her spouse, unmarried children under 21, unmarried children over 21, married kids over 21, brother and sisters, mom and dad. U.S. green card holder can apply for unmarried children under 21, over 21, and his or her spouse. By filling out these forms, you are asking the United States government to recognize your relationship with that person. After the I-130 is filed with the USCIS, the case may take 1 year, 2 years, depending on the category, many years to be approved. Throughout the time that your application is pending in immigration may send you some requests for evidence asking for more information. Therefore, you have to make sure that your address is always current with immigration. When you fill out the form with immigration, you send the I-130 in. The actual address depends on where you live. You have to look at the I-130 instruction. After the form is sent to immigration with the appropriate amount of the dollar amount for the form, the immigration will send you a receipt. You can follow the progress of immigration on uscis.gov by entering your case number after you receive that receipt. And when the case gets approved, then other applications need to be filed. Either the case will go to the U.S. consulate, or you can file for adjustment of status in the United States. But this video will teach you how to fill out Form I-130. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Laura from Kameli & Associates. We're going to be going over the I-130, the petition for alien relative today. If you have any questions, you need assistance filling out the application, call us at 312-233-1000. We're going to be listing the documents required to submit with your application in addition to the filing fee. The filing fee for the I-130 right now is $535. And again, we're going to be listing the documents and what you need based on if you're filing for your spouse, your parent, your sibling, or your child. So the first thing, it's going to be the I-130. This application you file if you want to bring somebody from out of the country and you want them to come in with an immigrant visa, or depending what type of process they're going to be going through, this is the first application you need for them to be registered as a wife, parent, child of a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. So we're going to start with part 1, relationship to you, the petitioner. That's you. The petitioner is always you, the U.S. citizen or green card holder. So let's say you're filing this for your spouse. You put spouse, and then you would, number 2 only applies to you if you're filing for your child or your parent. But since we're filing for the spouse, you will go down here. None of this applies to you. 3 doesn't apply to you. And then 4, if it applies to you, you put yes. If not, you put no. So part 2, we're going to go with your A number. Again, if you have a USCIS online account, you put it here. If not, you move down to number 3, which is your social security number. Here you will put your last name, first name. If you have a middle name, you will put it there. If not, just leave it blank. And we continue on to part 2, information about you, the petitioner. Here you will put your maiden names or any other names you have used. If you haven't, you can just leave it blank. Here you will put the town, city of birth, country of birth, your date of birth, your sex. I'm going to put female. Here you will put it your mailing address. If you don't have a safe mailing address, you can put somebody else's. Just make sure that it's safe and you can get your mail there. Okay, and then the country, once you put in the town and the state, it will put in the country by itself. So here you will put is your mailing address same as your physical address? You can put yes if it is, no if it's not. If it's not, you'll have to list your addresses for the past 5 years here. So physical, so if this is your mailing address, same as your physical, you would put the last one here. Let's say that you've only been here for a year, so you'll put the one working 5 years here. If you don't know the month, the date, and the year, most people don't remember the date when they moved out or moved from one house to the other. You can just put in the month. For that, you won't have to write it in, as it doesn't allow you to put in the month and the year. Okay, you have to put in all three: month, day, and year. So here, if you're filing, again, we're filing for the spouse, you would put how many times you've been married. If you marry only once, you put 1, marry. You move down, date of marriage. You put it there. Place of you were married. Let's say that I'm bringing my husband from Mexico. You put it there. And then here you put all your spouses. You will start with the first one. 21, date of marriage ended. It doesn't apply to you because, again, this is your filing for your spouse. If you were married before, you would put it as spouse number 2. If not, you move down to your parents. You put your parents' information there. You moved over here, number 27, where they were born, where they're at right now. If they're in Mexico, you can put Mexico. Okay, and then here you go again, date of birth for your father, town of residence, country of residence. And here the question is, I am in the U.S. as a U.S. citizen or legal lawful permanent resident. Here you would put your U.S. citizen. If you were born, you would put it here. Naturalized, that means you went through the citizenship application process. If you got your citizenship through your parents, you would put it here. I'm going to put that you got it through naturalization. The certificate number will be on your citizenship certificate. Place of issuance, here I'm going to put Chicago. And then the date, so I would put 2006. Let's just say that that's when I became a citizen. Part 2 only applies to you if you're green card holder, which in this case you're not, because we're filing through you being a U.S. citizen. Employment, again, this is for you to provide your employment history for the past 5 years. You will start with your first one here, and then you move to the address, your occupation. You can put designer, engineer, whatever it is that you do. So here we're going to do for the past 5 years. So that's going to be 5/1/2016. So include your past 5 years, and then you would move. You need to use this other section for the employer number 2. You can write it here. If not, you move to part 3, biographic information. Here you will put your Hispanic, your white, your height, and your weight. Again, this is not my weight. I'm just putting it in. Eye color, black. Hair color is black. And then this part 4, it's information about the beneficiary. The beneficiary, it's the person you're applying for. So if you're applying for your spouse and he's never been to the U.S., he wouldn't have an A number. He wouldn't have a USCIS online account. If he has a social, you would put that information here. If he doesn't, then you just move to his name. So we're going to go through that. Middle name, if he uses any other names, make sure you put all of those here. And then here you would put where he was born at. We're going to stick with Mexico. And his date of birth, female. And then number 10, has anyone ever filed a petition for this beneficiary? If they have, you have to put yes. If they haven't, just put no. If you don't know, you can put no. If they have, you have to explain in the other section. If he's outside the US, you will have to put his address here, postal code, and then the country that he's coming from. Again, here I use Mexico. Provide the address where the beneficiary intends to live. That will be your US address. You can put it here. And then provide beneficiary's address outside the US. It's the same one as the one you provided down here, so you can put same as 11A. Okay, and then you move down here to put his phone number, his mobile number, and then you provide his email address here. And then here you go to his information. How many times has he been married before? If he's been married before, you put 2. If that is the case, right now he's married to you. Date of your current marriage, you would put it here. Place of marriage. If he was married before, you have to provide their information here. If he was only married to you, you put it here. Okay, question number 2, date marriage ended. That doesn't apply to you because you guys are still married. And for the second spouse, you would put it here. And then here you will put again your information because they're asking for beneficiary, spouse, and children. That will be your information. And you were born in Mexico. If we have children, you can list them here. So it's only wife and children for person 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. And then question 45 says, was the beneficiary ever in the United States? If he has, you put yes. If he hasn't, you just put no. Here, he's never been in the US, so none of those questions apply to him. 48, 49, and 50 don't apply to him. Here, you would have to put his employment information in Mexico. Okay. Date his employment began, you can put that he's been there for the past since 2014. And if he's never been to the US, this question doesn't apply to you. It says, was the beneficiary ever in immigration court proceedings? You would put no. If you don't know how to answer the questions, again, you can call me at the office 312-233-1000. And I will take your questions, or you can schedule an appointment and come in and talk to Mr. Kameli or Attorney John Floss. Here you will write his native, his information in his native language. If it's the same, it's English, so you just write it in there. And this is the question where most people get confused. Well, you will fill this out if you're filing for your spouse. So the last address that you guys had lived at, you would put it here, from to. Again, 60. Question 60.B, you will have to fill that in as present because the computer, the way the application is, it will not allow you to type it in. If the beneficiary is in the United States, will apply for adjustment of status to that of a lawful permanent resident. He would apply here, but he's not here, so most likely he's going to have to the U.S. consulate in Mexico. You would put that here, see that what is. Again, I'm doing this, people coming from Mexico, but it can be any other. It could be Armenia, it could be Ankara, Turkey. And then here, have you ever filed a petition for this beneficiary, any other alien? If we have filed for mom, dad, brother, sister, you put the information here. Date filed, date approved, was it denied, withdrawn, you would put it there. If you're filing more than one petition, you would put their information here. Okay, and then make sure you review everything. You can read English. If you fill out the application yourself, you don't have to answer number 2. Make sure you sign and date the application. The last 2 pages, the interpreter doesn't apply to you. And then if somebody else other than you prepared the application, they'll have to fill out the preparer's information. Part 8. If you need to put in additional information, that can be done on page 12 of the application. And make sure you call us if you have any questions about anything about the application, about where you have to send it out. We will put that information on once we upload the video. If you have any questions, call us 312-233-1000, or you can send your questions to info@kameli.com. For the form I-130A, this is only if you're filing for your spouse. If you're filing for mom, dad, your brother, your sister, your child, you do not need to include this application. Again, this is only if you're filing for your spouse, your husband, your wife. And this application is basically the same thing as the I-130 regular, but this is for your spouse. So you will start with his information. Again, he doesn't have an A number. He doesn't have a USCIS online account. So that will go there. You will start with his address. Again, for the past 5 years, you put it there. Physical address number 2. For this one, question 8, you would put his last physical address outside of the US. Part 1, information about him. This is your spouse again. You will put his parents' information, name, family name, date of birth, sex, city where they were born, country of birth, where they're residing right now, and then the country of where they're residing right now. The same information goes for the information about parent 2. And then for the employment information, it's the last 5 years. Again, if you want to go over the 5 years, or if it goes over the 5 years that you've been with that company, that's fine, you can list it. Just make sure you answer all those questions. If you've been at the last employment for the past 5 years, you don't need to do anything with employer. Question number 2 about your second employment. Okay, you don't have to provide it here. We already put it on top. And then make sure you read everything. And this information you have to, if you read English, that's fine. You can just put in that you do. Again, your phone number, your email address. Make sure you sign and date the applications. Immigration will return any unsigned application back to you. And let us know if you have any questions. If you don't know which one to fill out, or if you need us to review your packet, we would do it for you. Call us at 312-233-1000. Again, you're only filing the I-130A if you're filing for your spouse. You do not need to file it if you're filing for your mom, dad, your brother, or your child. This is only if you're filing for your spouse. Hope you have a good day, and again, call me if you have any questions. Thank you.